Okay, good evening. Greetings from Eretz Yisrael. Unfortunately, I can't be with you guys in person, but Eretz Hashem, I'll be with everyone next week, or in 2 weeks when we go live for the actual campaign. So, my name is Simcha Razmulum. I live in Baltimore, currently coming to you from Jerusalem, and I am the Chief Strategy Officer for the Chesed Fund. So, essentially, what I do is I help organizations to plan and execute upon their campaigns. So, I've been privileged to work with many organizations, particularly shuls and schools and yeshivas in town, and it's very exciting to be able to work with Mesivta Shaarei. So that being said, I want to just give a little bit of hadracha on the campaign, give you guys some background in terms of what we're doing, why it's important, and how we can go about doing it successfully. So what I want to talk about is really two things. Number one is the how, like what is the approach that we take when it comes to fundraising, when it comes to crowdfunding in particular, and number two is the roadmap of giving you the specifics of what to do, of how to spend your time. So let's get into it. The number one is in terms of crowdfunding itself. So crowdfunding, the essence of crowdfunding is that word, the crowd, right? Is getting a large number of people to participate in the campaign, and that is going to take participation from every single person, because the more ambassadors we have, whether you're a parent or you're a bacher or you're a stakeholder or a rebbe, somebody who's connected to the Mesivta, any stakeholder that's involved is going to have their own individual crowd of people, friends, family, colleagues, acquaintances, people, anyone that they can reach out to, and it's about all of us reaching out to our own networks that creates a crowd, because one person might have 1,000 contacts, 2,000 contacts, 5,000 contacts, but collectively, if we have 30 of us, we might have 100,000 contacts. And that's what's going to be the real difference, is getting many people to donate and participate in the campaign. So what do we say? What do we do? So that I know, what you're probably thinking is, I don't want to fundraise. It's not nice to ask people for money, right? And the reason it's not nice to ask people for money is because you don't want to feel like a taker, right? You don't want to feel like you're putting yourself on a lower level than someone and begging them. How many of us, get these really poor messages, people snoring, or people saying, oh, I'm collecting for my kids' Mesivta, or I'm collecting for my shul, or I'm collecting for this, or I'm collecting for that. And it's like, it's nebby. And most people don't want to be involved because they think that, oh, you're asking them to be nebby. And that's not what we want. Because if you're doing it like that, you're doing it wrong. So that's not the approach we want to take. We want to take a very different approach. We want, instead of being a taker, we want you to be a giver. So what does that mean? How can you approach fundraising and be a giver? Well, we have to treat fundraising the same way we treat any other recommendation we make, right? If we were watching, a great shear, right? Or we ate at a delicious restaurant, or we took an amazing vacation. So what do? Is we tell people about it, and not to brag, like, oh, look what I got to do or the experience I had. No, we say things like, you have to hear this shear. You need to try this restaurant. You got to take this vacation. You're gonna love it. We want to give people enhancements to their lives, and that's how we have to treat fundraising. Is you have an amazing opportunity to sponsor an incredible Mesivta. Be personal. I am getting so much out of this. My son is getting so much out of this, right? This is, the Rebbeim are incredible. Whatever it is you connect to, that's what you need to emphasize. And we tell people that you have an amazing opportunity to partner with us. I try to avoid words like, hey, can you donate or spare some tzedakah? I like to use words like partnership and support. I'm telling you have an amazing opportunity. You can get the sponsor a day of learning, sponsor, a teal sponsor. We have all these sponsorship opportunities on the page that people can take ownership of. That way, instead of just asking somebody, hey, can you give a donation, we're asking them to do something that's meaningful and profound. People have a mitzvah to give meiser, right? They have an obligation already to do this. Now what you're doing is you're just saying that this is a great place for you to put it, and this is the reason why. And when you do that with sincerity and passion and authenticity and you do it, with an earnest kite, then people are responsive, and people will want to support. I always say people give to people more than they give to causes. And so if people want to support you and people care about you, it doesn't matter what you're raising for, whether it's Save the Whales or UNICEF or Mesivta Shaarei Chaim. It's because you're the one who's asking and because you're doing it in a way that's exciting. The focus is you're not giving you money. No one's helping you. If you can, be transparent if you want. You can say, oh, I'm already paying tuition, but I want the Masefta to have every resource it can because it's growing, because there's more boys coming, because there's more boys who need it. And thereby, I've, decided to take it upon myself to help the Masefta because I have a course at Tov. So I'm asking you to support me because I'm doing this out of her course at Tov. It's a totally, totally different ask. And that's the approach we want to be taking when we're reaching out to people, is that we want people giving out of inspiration, not out of desperation. So that's number one. So number two is the roadmap. So how should you be spending your time? So I tell people to think about the simcha list, right? Think about, no pun intended. If you were making, a wedding or a bar mitzvah, or, you have a baby, you're making a kiddush, you have a bris, who are the people that are going to come? Who are the people who you're going to invite? Right? Anyone who's on your simcha list, if you're close enough to have them at a simcha, you're close enough to ask them to participate and partner with you on the campaign. That's the way to look at it. We'll send out a volunteer packet as it gets closer. That's going to have a list of every single relationship you might have in your life, friends, family members, colleagues, people that from camp or from school, or your friend, your kids' friends' parents, and it's a list of 100 different relationships, professional relationships, and service providers and the like. And the idea is think about every single person. Like if we were making, if you're making a wedding, you're making a bar mitzvah. How many people are you inviting? 100? 200? Right? If you can think, oh, well, I can take the top 100 people I know and ask each one for $50, that's $5,000 right there. Every single one of you can raise $5,000. And you know what? Many people are going to give a lot more than $50. People will give 100 or 180 if you ask. And you don't have to do it all at once. If someone says I'll give $36, you can say, well, what if you could sponsor a day of learning? For $180, sponsor a day of learning, and you can do it as $15 a month for a year, right? So people we've seen time and time again, when people are presented with an opportunity in a context that's exciting for them and that makes it reasonable, they will go ahead and do it. So I want to encourage everybody to make your list beforehand. To think, instead of like having to scroll through your phone contacts like time and time again, just go through once, mark off all the people you think you should call, and then follow up. If they donate, great. If they say no, okay, don't call them again. But if you don't reach them, just because you don't reach them doesn't mean they're not interested and not wanting to donate. People are busy, right? We need multiple touch points. So some person might need a phone call, some might need a WhatsApp, some people might both at different times. We stagger those messages and stagger the way we're sending messages. But unless someone tells you no, you can assume that it's just not the right, reaching them at the right time. And quite often you'll see people might donate after even 4, 5, 6 messages over the course of a number of days. So don't get discouraged. As long as someone doesn't say no, obviously if they say no, like for whatever reason, we don't know their cheshbonos, but you did your shtadlis. But if they don't say no, okay, keep reaching out, keep trying until you get them, or until they say no. What I want to do is, normally this is where I open the floor for questions, but obviously this is a recorded video. But I'm going to encourage you're welcome. Rabbi Lapidus can share my number or my email address, or you can send your questions to him, and he can forward them to me. Like I said, I'm going to be there to support you guys the day of. I'll be there in person all day, and any questions, anything I can do to support you, between now and the campaign, I very much want to do. I'm wishing everyone tremendous hatzlacha, and I just want nothing but the best for everybody. So just put in your stylus, and Hashem will do the rest. So thank you guys very much for all of your work, and looking forward to meeting you in person.